Okay, we did it. Looks fine to me. I'm gonna sit my little happy butt down.
I don't want to see your new shit.
Right? Okay. All right. We're here. We did it. Things are happening. Small technical difficulties as usual this morning. Hey y'all. We're your buttons babes. We're here with you live. I'm Alyssa Brayboy.
I'm Alyssa Vasquez.
And we're breathing and we're here. And
Happy Sunday. Let's all collectively take a deep inhale and an exhale.
Wow, okay. Yep, okay, that's new and going to be moved. We're
Happy
fine.
daylight savings.
That too.
We got to sleep in an
hour.
hour. I hope everyone is rested.
I don't really feel like I did, but
Damn,
I
really?
mean, I don't know. I still woke up at like 6 o'clock in the morning, ready to go. I had the weirdest dreams where I smelt Chewy's tacos.
Oh, fuck. Oh my god,
Like,
what a dream.
I could smell it. Like,
I'm jealous.
Billy came in with Chewy tacos, and we both woke up like it was bacon on Christmas morning. Oh my god. I kid you not. I was like, oh wow. It was very vivid, y'all.
I'm so jealous of your dreams.
Now I want tacos.
Right?
Um,
Someone sent us Chewy's tacos.
right? Okay, so if y'all don't know, occasionally the things that we talk about get a little activating, a little triggering, and are uncomfortable in nature. So, trigger warning, we're here to learn, grow, all of the things together while we push buttons and I fix my hair because your girl was not ready.
Hey Matthew, thanks for joining
Yes,
us.
hello, good morning. Okay, so we're gonna jump into. Yeah, sorry. Y'all, it's been a morning. Like, I don't want to hijack your push to start because I have a feeling I know what it is. It might have changed, but like,
It has definitely changed.
it has been a morning. Anyway, I'm gonna jump into my push to start, which is, y'all. Okay, Alyssa sent me this article about jizz jewelry. You heard me correctly.
Yes.
Jizz
Yes, you did in fact hear her correctly.
jewelry. And initially, everything in me was like, ew, no, why? I do not understand. People literally get their partner, or they'll do it themselves, they'll collect a specimen and send it to be made into jewelry to gift to people and to wear. And my mind was blown at, like, you can do anything these days. And like people are, and I didn't understand. And then we had a conversation. I was like, oh, okay. Like in terms of like within the kink community, okay, I guess in terms of wearing your partner all day, turning it into jewelry, and I slowly, very slowly started to assess like, I mean, there was a little piece of me that was like, okay, I kind of get it. I a little bit understand in terms of like wearing your partner all day, that like possessive, like that like little dirty secret that you have between the two of you. And if done right, I am not saying that I would not get a pearl necklace made or like something, and that's the only like thing that came across my mind of like, maybe, but no one else needs to know. It's our thing. Like maybe occasionally wear it. Like, but it's still. It was like the same thing for vabbing for me. I was like, why? What are we doing? I do not understand until I read more on it. I educated myself and put the judgments to the side. It was like, okay, there's a little bit of science here. Vabbing, not the jizz jewelry. And Loki tried it like a few times. I was like, oh shit. Like it was interesting. I was like, I'm not gonna knock it until I kind of try it. And anyway, long story short, it made me feel all of the things on the jizz jewelry and just very enlightened on what is out there in the community and what you can make and pay for and gift to people. So that's my push to start. Mama, oh, I don't like this. I'm putting this back down. Well, how about you?
This week my push to start was crying.
Okay, we're here for it.
I hate it. I fucking hate it. And I had to cry this week, and that's it. That's it for me today.
You're like, that's all you're getting. That's all I'm going into because I don't want to. Okay. I mean,
Just
y'all.
flicked a tea leaf into my tea. I'm sorry.
I cry all the time, and I understand. But in terms of, I get most frustrated when I cry when I'm angry. Like when I'm trying to have a conversation and I want to be taken seriously, and the tears start. I'm like, son, you've got to be kidding me. But yes. Anywho, on a lighter mood, y'all, we're gonna again jump into another train. And
Yes, Matthew, it is a whole new meaning to pearl necklace. A really good.
Thank you. Thank you
I'm all for the jizz jewelry.
Since when? Sorry. Continue.
I have never had a problem with like that kind of ownership or like you have to wear a token. Vabbing, that's not for me. I'm not like coating myself in jizz to go out in public, but like I think when, like you said, when done correctly, it can be. I mean, there's so many things that can be done if you wear lingerie all day, a butt plug all day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if your partner who has facial hair has gone down on you if you're a female and they have like, you know what I mean? Like those are things that people do. The visual that we saw of the jewelry was really gross.
Yeah.
I don't want to go into too much detail there because I don't want to like offend the person whose company this is. But fun fact, she also does breast milk. So take that with what you will. I don't know if that saying is. Take it with a grain of salt.
Right? Like, anyway, yes, I did not know that. Okay, yes.
It's weird to me because I like breast milk, but like any body secretion that someone is like, I'm claiming you, I'm like, go for it. That's your thing.
It's okay.
There, I mean,
yes,
the vial of blood.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say.
I wouldn't do it, but I don't have a problem with it. It just.
I don't have a problem. I just didn't fully understand. Like I had to it was.
I mean, definitely. That's why I read it before I shared it because I was like, well, let me make sure I know what I'm talking about here.
That part. It was the initial shock. It was like, come on. Like in the words of Alyssa, I was like, what? Okay, give me a second. Let me breathe. Let me read. Let me understand. And then like, okay, if it's fancy enough and done right, and you can't really tell what it is, I would rock with it. And just have that that knowing, that smirk.
I mean, that's exactly. It's like
send a sexy picture, like wearing it, be like, hey babe, and like no words actually, just take a picture. Anyway, we digress. Jizz jewelry.
If you get some jizz jewelry or booby milk jewelry, please let us know.
Booby milk jewelry, y'all. Okay, also we went to Disney last week. That's why your babes were not here with you or didn't get anything done because you know what, we're done adulting, we're going to Disney, we got invited, it is happening, and it was magical.
It was so much fun.
Yes, we went with a dear friend, Brandon, who have never been before. Shout out. We were all children, and I don't know if we'll ever talk about this later, but there has been a reemergence in your girl's life, and so we went to Disney and had the VIP experience, and my standards have shifted, and well, I feel like they've always been there to a certain extent, because
shifted from what to what?
Right, I was about to say maybe they haven't shifted, maybe I just realized this is how I want to do things always, there is no going back. We VIP parked, we had genie passes, we did all of the things. And it was incredible. Strategically went to both California Adventure. Yeah, started there, got our drink on, and then went over to Disneyland. And so while we were there, it was Halloween weekend. So there were, it's Disneyland, and so there are children galore. But even more so, and children in costumes, out with their family, super effing cute. And it was! Yo, okay, side note, small side tangent. We learned a thing from our Disneyland
Our Disney tour guide.
yes, we coined him captain or cruise, whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm sorry, I'm digressing. Back on the train. He has this thing about when he's at Disney and he sees kids like dress up either as Spider-Man or like the Little Mermaid or whatever. He's like, oh my God, Spider-Man! Oh my goodness, I can't believe, I'm so excited to meet you. And these kids, they effing light up like nobody. Most of them. That's a good point. They light up, they're like, yeah,
It's me!
Spider-Man! Oh yes, I'm the Little Mermaid. Yes, this
Yes,
area.
we called out a Little Mermaid, and she was like, well, obviously it's me, and her sister was like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Y'all are stupid.
She was like, she gave us a really good stink eye for like a small human.
So you guys, like, you're idiots. This is my little sister in a wig and a costume. It was epic. Some of them kind of just look and shrink behind their parents. It was adorable.
Definitely like new favorite thing to do, just in general, like I guess when out somewhere where people are dressed up in costume. I guess
Right?
doing that in like IRL is kind of weird. But like Universal, Disney
It makes
feels
sense.
safe to be like, yeah, hey Spider-Man.
It made their day, especially the parents. Oh my goodness, the parents.
I mean, I feel like it made our day too,
Yeah.
like to like see all of that like reaction happening. Yeah.
It was so beautiful. And so as we're walking along and we're seeing all of these families, there were a couple of times where we saw white parents with black kids. And
You know.
yeah, they were adopted. Beautiful thing. 10-10 adoption. Like, yes.
Beautiful thing.
It is. However, we got into a really uncomfortable conversation. And it didn't occur to me because the moment he said it out of his mouth, he's like, I do not like seeing black kids with white parents. And I was like, yo, what? No, please. I don't want to go here. I don't want to do this. We're at Disney. I don't want to be in the Disney. And I'm looking around, I'm like, shh. I'm like, Alyssa, what is that? What is happening?
It was very interesting to watch the panic in your eyes as he's saying this, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, I have thoughts, feelings, and opinions here too, and like, I'm glad this conversation is open now so we can discuss. I've never, in my mind, thought, okay, like, I'm gonna drop this bomb.
Right?
But I guess I've never also had that, like, all of the things aligned to, like, this is the statement that I'm gonna make. But it was also like, okay, cool, so I'm not the only one who feels weird about this,
Right.
First of all. Second of all, like, I'm glad this is something that, I'm stirring up some, like, butterflies in me. Clearly, you are having an eyeball rolling meltdown.
I could not fix my face because in that moment it occurred to me, oh, I also feel uncomfortable and feel this way, but never in my right mind was gonna say it out of my mouth. And I was like, oh no, what?
But like, oh yes,
Yeah.
I'm so glad we could have the. I mean, I think that's the thing that is almost fun about being in public and having a conversation that is so like, I don't want to say polarizing, but I will say button pushing
Mhm.
because I think, I mean, it made you uncomfortable, it made me uncomfortable, but in different ways, but we were both like, okay, yeah, I mean, this is something we want to keep going. Like, we don't want to just cut it off there and like proceed to ride the ride that we're about
Like,
to
it's
ride.
like, oh, we're having this conversation. Because initially, like his statement was, it makes me uncomfortable, and I would actually much rather they either stay in foster care or go unadopted and have to, like, almost be surrounded in their own culture. And like there were so many facets because there was the topic of being raised by white parents that are not going to give them the resources that they need. They are
Education,
yep.
the safety structure, the
Mhm.
hygiene.
They are also like like in a better term, y'all, this was my summary of it. This is not exactly what he said. I am paraphrasing.
We really wish we recorded this, but
right?
you know, hindsight is 2020, and we were having a day at Disney. Okay.
Yeah, look, but like they're almost creating their, like they're assimilating them and creating their own small army to see that, yo, like in terms of like the black and brown children, like, oh, in the eyes, like white supremacy is okay, or it's not that bad. I had a different experience. My parents are white, and so like they are not the enemy. I'm not saying that they are the enemy, but there are certain things that they are not going to be exposed to, and it just I agreed more
It
than
clicked.
Yes, it hit
a lot
different.
of things clicked in my brain that just were never close enough to like the magnet to be like, yes, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of like to go along with like, yes, we're not like upset at every single person who is white who has adopted someone who's black, but it also does leave so much room for simplifying, glazing over, and like oh, it's fine, it's not about you-ing for someone who's black, who is raised in a white home, that everyone is like, oh yeah, it's not you, babe, it's them.
Yeah, and I went down a small rabbit hole. I'm lying. I went down a rabbit hole because I was like, okay, a part of our discussion was also like, so you would rather these kids stay in foster care and deal with like different levels of abuse and trauma? And he's like, yeah, almost. I'm like, but the babies, like they are going to be in such a better position. He goes, maybe you do not know that, because as I went down this rabbit hole and read a bunch of articles, majority of the time what I have found was like, as these children who were adopted got older, they still love their parents, but there is some resentment towards the way that they were raised and the resources that they did not have in terms of being introduced to their culture, and just certain things that they feel that they missed out on in terms of having a black experience. One article blew my mind. There was a couple who adopted an Ethiopian child and a black African American child, and one of their key takeaways, they're like, we didn't know that we would have to worry or teach them how to stay alive. And I was like, what do you mean you didn't know? You adopted a little black boy and a little black girl, like,
and that's literally like the different
and he was a cop.
experience.
Alyssa, he was a cop, and I was like, what do you mean you didn't know?
Because his experience is
Exactly.
white supremacy, that he is fine, that he has never had to worry, that his wife never has to worry because he's the guy with the badge.
Mhm.
He's the good guy, quote unquote, in the beige world. That's fine. But yeah, if you have looked at the fucking headlines anywhere, if you've watched TV in the past, I mean, you know, I don't know when this article was created, but like, I don't think that the last 5 or 10 years is, and I don't know any statistics, this is coming from
I have a couple.
wherever, but like, I don't think the last 5 or 10 years is any worse or better than 10, 15, or 20 years ago, in terms of if you were a white family adopting a black child and like grasping the safety that needs to happen. I am a white passing person, not a black person at all. So I have truly no idea if the last 5 to 10 years is any better as a black person than 10, 15 to 20 years, but I still don't imagine it's significantly better, but like, yeah, he has no idea because he's not worried about
Right.
like basic survival. He's worried about like, oh, do I have a scholarship fund, or like, do I have this, like, things for the child that are important, like,
Mhm.
yes, very much important to have education, but like basic,
I'm riding my bike. I need to make sure, like, just things like, because they also are in a very white community. They are the black kids in the community,
so
and I'm
that's
like,
the one kid that everyone's like, watch that kid.
yes,
Like-
and just certain things started to hit different as I went down this rabbit hole, because also, and it people joked about it, but it's not really funny, but like adopting a black or brown child definitely started to be it's trendy. it is something that happened after a lot of celebrities started to do that.
It's always been
And-
trendy.
And I think the statistic that I saw, there has been an increase, and there's 40% more interracial and intercultural adoptions as of, I believe it was 2015 to now. I'm like, okay, wow, like it is trendy to have a little black or brown child. Like I understand, but there's also, oh, I don't like that I understand. It's that white savior complex. It's that savior complex. Like, oh, I'm taking a child and taking them from an
This
underprivileged,
poor,
Yeah.
starving African child.
and I'm like, ugh, all of the feelings, all of the uncomfortableness. And yes, okay, I 10 agree. They will have better opportunities. They are put in better situations. They will have more resources, but in some cases it does more harm than it does good. And I'm like, damn. I'm like, but the babies, like
I mean, yeah, like as someone who has grown up in a place that that everyone was white essentially, and there were like a handful of like other, like that is challenging enough to like go home to your own everything, to at least go home to like your safe zone. But if you are like one of those few kids who's in that white space, who's very much othered visually, you go home and you're
still other.
But like you're also like, okay, well, what was wrong? So and so was mean to you. Okay, why? And the kid's like, I mean, I don't know, like, cause they're mean to me. And you know, then if the parent starts the typical like, let's call so and so's mom and ask them why they're mean. I mean, that goes back and forth, like parent wise, and you know, like that's great that like parents are there to protect their kids. But then when they're back in school, are they gonna get bullied even harder? What worse things are gonna happen to them? I mean,
And there's a level of
kids are mean.
yes, and it going back home and still being othered, and like they are never going to understand. They can, they can empathize, but they cannot sympathize. Like you don't know what it is like to be in their skin, and you never will. You can do everything that you can, and I'm not condemning the people that, because in some cases, there is a difference within this rabbit hole in terms of adoption. I learned that there is public adoption, where you are dealing with the state, and foster care. You can be a foster parent, or you can foster to adopt. And then
Like
there
kids that are in the system.
that are in the system, the
Okay.
foster care system. And so if they're in foster care, typically they're trying to get back to their birth parents. Some, however, are not allowed to go back to their birth parents, and so those are in a route foster to adopt. And so that is the route if you go public. You can also privately adopt, which is very much so more problematic, and that it makes me even more uncomfortable, because it's like you're mail ordering your child in terms of you can pick what and who it is that you want, where they come from, like all of the things. I'm like, I don't even want to touch that button right now, because that is a different type of elitism and privilege that I don't, not happening. And so in terms of the kids that are in foster care, the parents don't really have that much of a choice. I know that they can like pass on fostering a certain child or a group of children
If you are trying to foster, not
Yes.
if your child has been put in foster care. So if your child has been in foster care, do you have any say in the foster home that your child goes to?
No.
Okay.
If you were the biological parents, no. If you have your rights taken away and your child is in the system, no.
No,
They're gonna
okay.
go to
Whomever
they see
whatever.
is fit.
Okay.
And so if you were fostering to adopt, or if you're fostering, like you don't really get a say in the child that comes into your life to a certain degree. And I could have done a little bit more research on it, but I did stop dead in my tracks when I went onto the public state site, and there is
California.
of California.
Okay.
It's probably different in other states, but in the state of California, there is a site that links you to a database of children, y'all. And I was like, no, this can't be right. And so you I kid you not,
Spoiler alert.
my heart sank. You click on the link, you say, like, you hit the I'm ready to adopt button.
Like when you go to like the ASPCA site and you're like, I'm gonna take care of a foster dog.
Yes,
Let me
and
see
so
the dogs and take
yes,
one home today.
you click on it, and then it asks you the age range, the sex, the ethnicity, it like anything that you want to avoid, whether it's mental issues, disabilities, like IQ, and I'm like, and as I'm like not clicking the things, and if you leave it all blank,
I'm not clicking.
like I was like, I can't do this. If you leave everything blank, it'll show you every child that is in the system. Their picture pops up, their information. I was like, their location doesn't. Like, thank God. But I was like, what? So
I mean, the internet is not a safe place for anyone who's small.
I
know.
it's a public state-run site, and I was utterly confused that we just have these babies' pictures up here with their information like they are items to be picked. And I'm
not surprised. Like I'm not at all.
It really hurt my heart. I was really disgusted. I was like, they need to be protected better than this. Like, and so not anyone can go and adopt. That's not what I'm saying. But anyone can go and look at these children and like formulate a plan to like, oh, okay. Like I don't know how the rest of the process works, but I stopped right there. I was like, I can't. Like, no, I'm very uncomfortable, and no, I'm not in politics or systems or like I wish there was a better system or way, but like it's what's the lesser of two evils almost, in terms of like I would not wish that on any child, to be in the foster care system, to be waiting to be adopted, like bouncing around from home to home, like and just to be up on a website with their just like, hey, pick me, like, oh, it hurt. And so there's a piece of me that's like, no, if there is a loving family that wants to take in a child, no matter like what their color is, I'm like, yo, I'm fucking for it. But then at the same time, I'm like, oh, but I get it. And yes, it makes me uncomfortable. It makes me worried, because even I mean, I'm privileged enough to have both of my parents in my life. I am a little mixed mutt. I got a little bit of everything in me. Korean, Native American, African American, I think a little Caucasian.
Listen, your DNA is strong, okay?
Yes,
there is not a lot of gross
right?
inbreeding happening in there, so
you.
that is great.
Thank you, parents. But even like there have been times I'm like, dang, I miss my own culture, and I have both of my parents in my life. I mean, I have my Hamani, who is Korean, and we did, you know, Korean traditions. Like, I was exposed to a certain level of culture, but I wanted more. And as I've gotten older, like the different pieces of who I am that make me up, I'm like, oh, I want more understanding. I want to be around others who look like me, who are interested in the things that I'm interested in, learn what my background is, and like experience those things, because there is something in my blood that pulls me to it. And so it just, it's not black and white, it's gray, is what
It's super gray, yeah. We have a mutual friend who was adopted, and you know, at some point maybe she would feel comfortable to come and share a little bit more of her story. I know she's open about it to certain people a little bit more on the internet, but I'm not going to share too many details. But she was adopted, and most of her adult life has been very vocal that she wished she was not taken from her family. I grew up with quite a few friends who were adopted. Some of them were Korean adoptees to white families.
You said Korean adoptees? Okay.
Yeah, Korean adoptees. That was pretty popular or common in Minnesota. And I mean, all of those kids were in like significantly richer families than mine. So like, yes, they were taken care of in those ways. But one of my really good friends who was a Korean adoptee, his parents were able to introduce him or like to make the connection to his birth family.
Okay.
I don't remember a ton of details of like, was he stolen from his family? Was it a like those details? But his parents, when he was old enough, made sure that they were open with him, which is awesome. Not everyone is going to be like that. They also had the money to do that, you know. So great. But I also, my mom is a cleaner. She cleans houses. So she's cleaned houses for many beige people who have children. One house specifically did adopt a young girl from Latin America. She had a lot of trauma that she was coming in with from where she grew up, unfortunately. And she had a really hard time, like, going through life with a lot of baggage.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that when she was late teens, attempted suicide or possibly attempted to do some stuff to her family, like it was a lot of things like that she had to deal with, that they were dealing with her. And I only remember hearing bits and pieces from, you know, conversations with my mom about like my own mental health and like, was I okay? And I was like, honestly, no, but like, I don't know, you know. But like, I remember being like, why is she like, what is so wrong in her life? She has this like perfect seeming life because again, her parents were super well off, but like she had no connection to anything, to her family or to her history. I think after she was an adult, she moved back to this country, and I think I heard she met up with people that were related to her and was doing better. But like a really cool situation for someone who was adopted and like met his family and great, and then like also like a really messed up situation that like, I mean, had she stayed in that war-torn country, she maybe would have, you know, not a lot of great things. But if she was adopted to a family who had a little bit more like, let's dive into like the past, let's bring a little bit more of home here to you, maybe things would have been better. I don't know, like I'm not a doctor, I don't know all the details, but
no,
like
it's extremely important. And in the research that I did about interracial and intercultural adoptions, there are more resources now than there were, I mean,
5, 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, of
whatever.
course. Like there's this whole pamphlet that I read in terms of like, okay, this is what you can do if you are going down the route of adopting and it is interracial and intercultural. Like these are the resources, like here are some pointers, here are some tips, it's getting better. Like, and there are some incredible people and parents out there that will do the work to make sure that their child is protected and influenced and surrounded by others, that so that they don't feel so othered. I met a really great guy who adopted, like him and his wife at the time adopted a black son, and he like, sometimes I'm like, bro, you blacker than I am. Like the way that I'm just like, oh my gosh. Like, and like props to him, props to you. Like you, like, but there's certain, like you can only do but so much, and like, and it's really like, it's hit or miss in terms of what's gonna happen as that child gets older. And but I can't say that it doesn't make me uncomfortable.
It's weird. It's uncomfortable.
It's
Matthew Perkins point, he also has some tidbit. I think it's messed up that the state will pay you to foster a child but won't give money to the birth parents to provide for their child.
That's wild to me.
Tangenting like off of that, but yeah, it is. I mean, I feel like we've all seen, heard probably, like, you know, a family who just like needs a little bit of help. There's nothing, like the children are not being harmed, but someone has decided that, you know, they're not fit to be parents and has taken them away, split them up, you know, all of that.
Doing
Like,
way
we've
more
seen
harm
that.
than good.
But yeah, like, if you take a look at like, oh, why are the parents struggling? Okay, maybe it's the income. Like, create a stipend for, yeah, for parents who just need a little bit of help. Single mothers who, I mean, single parents.
Yes.
Single parents. Like, it's fucking hard. I mean, inflation. I don't know. Like, there's so many things that like popcorning into my brain now. But yeah, it's it is that great point, Matthew. It is really fucked up that, like, yes, the foster kid or the foster family is getting the money to just like float this kid along. I mean,
and some of the horror stories, and
I know. I don't want to
just
think of like the SVU episodes that I've seen with foster kids
collecting children to collect a check. There was an episode on Atlanta that I was shook. And the way they can still find humor in some things, though, I'm like, oh my god, listen, this is not funny, don't laugh, but I'm laughing. Like, props to Atlanta, 10/10 recommend if you haven't seen the show. So good, so genius. But as y'all can see, it hardcore pushed our buttons to have this conversation, to have it at Disney, no less.
The magical kingdom full of white people with their multicolored children.
There were a couple, and I'm not, okay, honestly, I glazed over the first time it came out of our Disney
out of
his mouth, because it was a small joke, but it wasn't a joke. He was like, yo, that white couple like kidnapped that black kid, and I was like, what? And he's like, I was like, oh.
And I had completely missed it the first time, and then when we had stepped up a little further, and I was like, wait, what are we talking about? Like, I'm like not here fully, like, say it again, and then I was like, oh yeah, that's fucking weird. Like,
the first time I was like, no, I don't want to have this conversation. Like, it was 2 different rides, Alyssa. He said it at one ride, and I was like, nope, not going here. And
I missed the first ride.
And I was like, oh, and I thought I had slid out of it. I was like, no, we're going to talk about this again, because they're everywhere. It's everywhere. I mean, they were out of earshot, and it was far enough away, but I really do appreciate the people in our lives where we can have those conversations and talk about things that we see, think, feel, and it's not surface level. It's like, oh,
like, this is some fucked up.
Right. It's interesting. And so, yeah, it caused all of the things.
We would love to hear your thoughts, feelings, opinions, stories, examples. I guess if by chance you happen to be a black person, a person who is adopted by a white family, and you feel comfortable, you can DM, you can email message, I mean, whatever. But like,
right.
Yeah, we would love to hear if you were adopted, did at some point you feel super othered, or did your family kind of work to combine cultures? Was it hard? Like, are you in touch with your birth family? I mean, I feel like these are kind of intrusive things, but like, also, if you're willing to share, like, we would love the feedback or like the input, the story. I mean, whatever. But it's, yeah, like, this is so gray. I mean,
because something I've always known, like, I want little humans, like really bad, whether I can have them on. It's really weird, y'all. The clock is, it's a thing. Anyway, want little humans, and I've always known, like, it didn't matter whether, like, they're coming from me or if I'm adopting, like, I'm
where they're
coming
from, you want them.
Yes, and so adoption has been something that has been in the back of my mind, and it's like, oh, if I choose that route, like, that's a different layer of responsibility, and I have to do it right or as best as I possibly can.
I mean,
because
yeah,
that, like, to bring a little human into this world, that is one thing. To adopt a little human and to give them a better life, it just.
I mean, that's the goal, right?
Yeah.
That's the goal as a parent, is to provide the best life for your child, birth or foster adoption. I don't know what the opposite of birth or non-birth child. I mean, like that's I think most parents' goal. It's definitely not all. We all can name drop a case where some parents are really fucking awful. Gabriel Hernandez. I'm sorry. But like I wish that we just saw more interracial adoption from the other side. I've only seen a couple times where like a black family has adopted white children.
Oh.
I wish that was just something that was a little bit more visible to all of us.
That's hella interesting. I don't think I have ever seen a black or brown family that has adopted a white child. I see what you're saying.
Or I don't know anyone personally,
I don't.
But I have seen it once in a show or like a book or something like scripted, but then once as like I don't know, some local news station that was just like, oh, the family adopted the kids next door because their parents were trashy.
Right.
So the black family would feed, I think they ended up with like 11 kids, like an obscene number of children after combining the 2 homes worth of children.
Damn near a
but
soccer
like
team.
They would feed and like clothe and like take care of their neighbors' kids, and then finally like it ended up the parents were obviously shitty, and I think this family was like, okay, like let's fucking do this.
This is what we're doing.
Yeah, and I mean, it would be cool to see that, but like what is the opportunity to like black families to adopt, like is adoption, becoming a parent if you're adopting, is that as challenging for anyone who's not white? You know what I mean? Like, is that being gate kept as well?
That's so my whole brain, like
I've never thought about it until like right now, which is why the wheels are like slowly turning, because I'm like, what thought is trying to come out? But is that a thing? I have no idea. Maybe it's not. Hopefully it's not. Sure I don't know. But like, I mean, that's I'm like, well, everything else in this world seems to be gate kept, so closeted, not so closeted, but.
We gonna make it a thing. I'm curious. I want to see it. I want to explore that, have that conversation. Like, what are some of the challenges and the adversity that you see as a black or brown family bringing a beige baby?
Even if it's not beige, right? Like in general, human child, whatever. Like, is that a challenge? But yeah, like how then? I mean, I feel like to me, of any adoption scenario, that just seems like a win-win. Because not only is this family taking this child out of a potential harmful situation, they're going to be raising this child in a home that is the most accepting of everyone. Also, they are teaching them, like, okay, these are the things that are important to us, to our family, to our culture. You are part of our family and part of this culture, whatever, but like, you need to be an ally to everyone, not only families who look like ours, families who look like yours, but you are the one who can help bridge some of the things. I mean, I don't know. Because it is. It's like, this is, okay, what is it, like, that sounds, everybody and Mark, like the one random white guy that's like, whatever, it's like, okay, yeah, we need Mark to fucking connect things.
I don't know, this hit me so hard because it's like, a part of the conversation that we had at Disney in terms of like they're creating their own little army, and I'm like, so
it's a reverse. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Because I mean, unfortunately,
I'm like, oh my god.
There are probably families in the South. I'm being very generalistic and probably jerkish, so I'm sorry, everyone in the South. But like, there's gotta be families in the South who are like absolutely like arming up their like children to become Candace Owens or whatever her fucking like, that kind of stuff. People that you're like, have you ever looked in the mirror?
Yo.
Do you know who you are?
Anyway, sorry, I don't want to say his name on air, but I can't.
Like, yeah, those, I'm sure that's happening. So, like, yes, in the reverse, let's reverse that army.
Let's, I can't say it out of my mouth. my kids and do the like, oh
I mean,
shit.
reverse adopt.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll figure it out. We'll let you know what we decide.
If you have
to
an
call it
idea,
next time.
please.
Like in terms of damn.
I don't know, but it's like
It's wild to me. Anyway, it's comical, but it's not like in the grand scheme of things. Like if you like, I'm like, this is not funny, but it's fucking funny. Like in terms of like just this aspect of it, and I'm like, damn, these are the days that we live in. Like us and them. Even though I not everyone is like that, but there's just certain things that are like almost inevitable. Shoot. I feel like I'm saying anemone. That
can you pick a different word?
right? Uncomfortable truths. Like even though we want to be in this utopia and it's not us versus them, or it's not like okay, but there are people that literally think like that. There has been this conditioning of, and yes, I do want that. Can't we all just get along? Absolutely.
I mean,
I'm
right.
I wish.
Mind your
I
business.
want-
Let me mind mine.
Right? Like,
You can coexist. All of that.
Yes.
But
absolutely advocate, but you cannot live in this bubble and say that that is not also true in terms of like that whole us versus them mentality, or like banding together. But it's something that I've seen a lot more of lately, that I think people are hopefully starting to understand. Just because we are pro-black or pro whatever culture it is, pro-black or brown, pro-Asian, does not mean that we hate. Like,
we're pro diversity.
yes, like we're not shitting on white
We are
people.
pro all
like,
of the colors of the rainbow, all of the flags in the world, all of the cultures.
Yes,
celebrating.
We're trying to heal some of the trauma that has been bestowed upon.
We're just trying to unbleach things.
Yes, we are just trying to make it representative of what it actually is. Get closer to what it is, not what we have been told it should look like. And so, as you can see, it's a big motherfucking button, and we have gone off on several tangents as we always do, and we appreciate you bearing with us and sticking in.
We will revisit this probably more times after we have ourselves done a little bit more research or selected a tangent and decided to follow it a little
to
further.
go on that train track.
We may or may not end up having a guest or two who could speak a little bit more about the situation, the experience, or the process. Again, anyone who's listening, watching, participating, if you have any input,
I'd love to talk to a parent. Like, I would love to talk to someone who has adopted and been through that process and what it is like. So if you have, hit us up. Do we have
we do have a push to start. In fact, this week's push replay
that
comes to us from shout out Matthew Perkins.
Yes. Number 1, button stand, love you.
This is from our recent video, Kids Fighting Pedos Using Your Voice.
Oh.
Which was another.
Yo, we gotta protect these kids. Anyway, they're our future. Before I didn't understand that, and it sounded super cliche to me. I'm like, oh wait, no, yeah. Because when they were saying that when I was a kid, I'm like, oh, I am the future. And we can be a part of the solution, not the problem. Okay, cool.
Mommy.
Help! Somebody. Anyway, sorry.
So his comment is, I remember that story, and it seems every week there's a report of some teacher doing something perverted or abusive. As a society, we just need to do better of choosing who we give authority to in all phases of our lives. Yes, I copy, paste, retweet over and over and over. I think, okay, so like the first part of that reply, yes, it does. Honestly, I feel like just the other day I saw another like teacher doing something headline, and I was like, I don't want to fucking read it. I'm tired of reading about fucking teachers, fucking kids. Like, I'm tired of it. Like, you're here to educate. Do your fucking job.
Or like you shouldn't. And I understand we have a shortage of good teachers,
which is
teachers
shitty. Like,
in
we
general.
need to support education. Like, we support stupid fucking sports. Like, I don't know, stupid fucking politicians, stupid fucking influencers who fart in jars, who
Right.
make pink goo that will give you the fucking diarrhea.
Who makes jizz jewelry? Anyway, like, yo.
Yes.
It starts with teachers. It starts with the people that are influencing our children from a young age, and to give them that kind of power and authority. I'm not saying that there aren't background checks. I know, like, that we as a whole
I mean,
are
I
doing the
assume
best.
there are background checks.
I would, yeah.
But like,
It's not that hard to become a teacher.
no, it's not.
Or a
I was
substitute
offered a
teacher.
substitute teaching job. My qualifications are human. I mean, like, my background is clear. Like, yes, but like, no, like, I didn't go to school for teaching. I fucking hate kids. Like, I would literally be there, like, for my paycheck. Clock in, hey, we're gonna do the alphabet, clock out, bye. You know, not really. But yes,
Yes.
this was me. I can be your child's teacher. Isn't that a thrill? You know, like,
I actually, Mama, compared to like some of what is out there, I'm like,
I mean,
yes,
I'm not a pedo, yes.
go to Osculissa. Like, yo,
But-
go learn some shit.
It is crazy. Second, I'll let you finish.
Yeah, and I would think, the grand scheme of things, like, yeah, we're doing the best we can, but are we really, like, we're
not.
And I know it's not as simple as we need a better system. Like, I know, but it just, it hurts my heart how many, like, holes we're trying to plug in this sinking ship. I'm like, anyway, yeah.
The second part of his comment, as a society, we just need to do better at choosing who we give authority to. Yes, I think he ends it in all phases of our life. Yes, I think in my own life, yes, I'm like, I need to reprioritize
There it is.
certain things of like what I am giving their authority to, and what I'm not. As a group of like women, we also need to do that. As BIPOC people, that's a thing that like needs to happen. Like, there's so much power in people, like individual people all agreeing, like, yeah, we don't need to give this person the power. Like, we all need to be whatever. But like,
it's a continuous, like, for me, it's definitely been a learning experience in terms of knowing that my voice has power. Like, me as an individual,
because you were stifled as a kid.
Yes, stifled as a kid, stifled, like, just as a people. Also, in terms of BIPOC people, like, for so long, we have been shown that our voice does not matter, that we do not have power, and like putting, like, trying to mute that voice and all the energy and the struggle that it takes to push past and be unmuted. I mean, we are.
It's not easy by any means. I'm not trying to simplify this.
Change is a slow moving wheel, but it's happening. But yes, like, knowing that your voice has power in the things that you want and that are important to you. However, it's going to take work. It is going to take actually using your voice and doing something about it. And I am super proud of this upcoming, like, young people who are like, they're understanding that more. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm a little afraid of them in spaces, like, and also like championing behind them and making sure, like, okay, are we championing the right things? Are we, like, putting that voice and that power in the right direction to actually affect change? And so, yeah, that was 10-10 agree, Matthew Perkins.
Yeah,
like,
such a great comment, so many layers of lessons, I think, and like just need for change there, and that is reflected.
Yeah, that's what we got, y'all. So, yeah, Disney, adopting kids, jizz jewelry, crying. That has been your life with your babes.
Please like, follow, subscribe, comment. We love comments. You can send a DM anywhere that you're following us. Rate, review if you're watching here. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or any other podcast device, we love the reviews. We love to hear feedback. Yes, I'm working on my sound quality. I am currently shouting. I don't know if you can tell or not. Thank you so much for joining us this lovely lovely Sunday where it's cold as balls here in LA,
It
and I'm
is.
sure it's colder where you are. So drop your temperature below or whatever. Thank you so much.
Yes, our cold is like 60 degrees. I know it's whatever, but we're always growing over here. All of the things, all of the tangents. Okay, I should stop talking. Okay, bye. I'm gonna go push the button and be finished. And I need to eat something. I'm hungry. Okay. Oh no, I need